Welcome to Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I'll be covering every studio song the band has recorded and every bonus track that I can find. Each week we'll go over a new song from the beginning to where they are currently, and as they keep adding albums, I'll keep adding shows. Let the deep dive party begin.
In the magic garden, some were singing, some were dancing.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I am your host. I am Scott Haskin here bringing you this fan-based yet band-endorsed podcast, going through every single song that Uriah Heep recorded in the studio. As of right now, as we're winding down to the last couple of albums that the band currently has out, waiting for the new studio album, got some extra bonus tracks, but everything that I am aware of that was recorded, I have found, and we'll be reviewing it on the show. So we got some good stuff ahead, but as we're working on season 23, going through all the songs on the album Outsider, we are currently on song 8 out of 11. This one is called Can't Take That Away. We're going to dig in right now. Here it is by Uriah Heep. You know, I really like the sound of the guitar and the bass guitar on their own. I think it sounds really cool because you've got really the full spectrum. You've got, you know, the higher register from the guitar and then the bottom end coming in from the bass. And then we've got that hi-hat coming in to start setting the, you know, the more direct, clear tempo for the song. And then the organs come. Like, this is a really cool build in the beginning of a song for sure. Very interesting progression here in the verse. I mean, typically, you know, you would go whatever note that you start on, and then you would go down, and then you would go up and down, or down and up again. But it's usually not such dramatic steps. And then for the first one to go down, and then the second line to go up the way it did, that was a nice surprise. This is a really cool part. Yeah, this song has got a great gallop to it, you know, with that, between the bass and the drums, there's just a good gallop that really keeps the pace, it keeps the drive, makes you feel like you want to kind of stand up and follow along with whatever's going on. These songs for me on this album, for some reason, have become very physical. Like, they make me want to physically do something. I don't know, I feel like I could build a garage or clean the kitchen or do something to just about every song on this album. It's very energetic to me, and I like that. But the vocals, again, they really stand out with that layering that we hear here on this song. Well, you know what I meant. Anyway, very powerful though. And then the guitars and the keyboards, they're just full. They're filling up that midsection. Of course, the organ has a little bit wider of a spectrum of sound on this one, but that's fine because we really want that rich and full Hammond in there. And then Mick just hitting those chords just right. Yeah, it's a great song. We have lost a little bit of the punch in the kick drum being in the mix. It's a little further back in my ears now. That's kind of a shame because I think that extra punch could really just push the song to another level, but it still sounds good the way it is. I noticed too that during the verse, we hear a lot more guitar. During the chorus and post-chorus, we hear a lot more keyboard. So it's a really interesting balance between the two, but the drive in the song, man, it just keeps pushing. It's pretty relentless, which seems to be a theme for this album.
Twilight fills his narrow room. The memory of sweet perfume, and you can't take that away. You can't take that away. There's one thing in life that you do best, just do it well, and you can't take that away.
Now, if you've noticed, or if you didn't notice, it still happened, listen to what Russell's playing on the ride cymbal here, because this really shows that the song is actually a shuffle. When we think Uriah Heep and we think shuffle, a lot of times we think of the double shuffle because that's something that they did quite a bit. It was kind of a signature thing for them. But listen to the ride. It's got that da-da-da-da-da-da-da sound to it, and that indicates that they're doing the song as a shuffle. Really cool, though. It's always a good thing to have a shuffle on an album. And, the way that they're rocking them these days, there's just so much power in it. I have to think if the recording for something like, Return to Fantasy, which was really good, but if it had this kind of production to it, I think it could have been even more powerful. But, for the mid-'70s, the production that they had was pretty sweet. And I really like the way that album sounded, but this just has a little bit extra drive in it. The guitars have a little bit more edge to it. The Hammond is still rich and full like it was in that song. But I don't know, it just feels like there's a dynamic stretch here that they've grown into that's just taken their music to another level on this album.
No, you can't take that away. There's one thing in life that you do best, just do it well, and you can't take that away.
And once again, from out of nowhere, a nice little progressive part. Really cool. It's interesting, though. It sounds kind of light because everyone's not joining in. You don't hear the heavy distorted guitar there, and that's kind of leaving it a really different feel than I would have expected. The guitar is so important in Heap's music, obviously, but when you just step back and remove it from a part like that, it just changes the whole feel of the song. Like it's a progressive part, but without that guitar, it doesn't feel like it's that progressive. Really strange. Maybe it's just me, and that's, I'll leave room for that possibility, but I really feel like Mick's found a whole new gear on this album. Maybe just the energy of Davey coming in the band. Maybe it's something about, they hadn't been able to do anything for a while in the studio. I don't know what it is, but there is just some kind of crazy energy that he's got on this album that I think is absolutely explosive. And I love it because the style is more aggressive, and maybe that's it too. Maybe because they're using a more aggressive style than they have in the past. The sound is heavier. It's just a little cleaner and more modern, but it's definitely harder than we've heard them be in the past. So I don't know. Maybe it's some combination of those things or something that hasn't come to my mind. But I'm just hearing some crazy great stuff from Mick. I really feel like he's just found a gear that I really wouldn't have guessed he had because he was doing so great before this album. I was like, you really can't ask much more of the guy. And here he is finding something more to give.
He tries to understand why he never asked someone to lend a helping hand. The price he paid was covered by the grass, it was so green. The headlines hit the world and wiped him off the silver screen.
I love when they do that. So you've got a little bit of, cymbals, like the China cymbal coming in from Russell. Starts a little earlier than you would think an effect would start, which is nice. You got a little bit of percussive organ in there, just like touches of different sounds, all in a short span of time that, really add some dynamics to it that are so cool. I love when they do that. You don't hear it often from bands, but when they do and they pull it off this well, it's just a great treat in the middle of the song.
The memory of sweet perfume, and you can't take that away. You can't take that away. There's one thing in life that you do best, just do it well. You can't take that away. No, you can't take that away. There's one thing in life that you do best, just do it well, and you can't take that away.
Nice throwback to that progressive part. Again, I have to say, without the guitar in there, it really sounds, a little bit empty. But then with that guitar coming in at the very end of it with that last note, that was the punch that the end of the song needed. Absolutely fantastic. Thumbs up on this one for sure. It's another one where I just kind of feel really good afterwards. I feel like I have some kind of control in my life. I don't know whether I actually do or not, but there's, this song makes me feel like I do, at least for the moment. So that's a good thing. I'll take that absolutely with glee. So that's our episode for today, guys. A good song for a Thursday. Maybe that'll give us the power we need to get through tomorrow, but we still have one more song to do this week. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about the song Jessie, and we're going to see what that's all about. In the meantime, you guys have a fantastic rest of your day or evening or whatever it is, whenever you're listening. It's weird when you have people that get the podcast all at the same time, but they're all in different time zones all over the world. I never really know who's listening when, but whenever you are, thanks for listening. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Cheers. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Uriah Heep, the Magicians Podcast. If you have enjoyed this show, please consider going over to Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast outlet, leaving a rating or a review. Be sure to subscribe to make sure that you are notified when new episodes are available. Please be sure to share this podcast with your fellow Uriah Heep enthusiasts and anyone who you think would like Uriah Heep, which should be everyone. And if you are so inclined, please feel free to contribute to the Patreon account. And if you are not a Patreon subscriber, you can also pay through the PayPal link on the website listed in the show links below. I would also like to thank Uriah Heep for their very generous support of the show. And thank you guys for listening. We'll see you in the next episode. Happy days!